matches centers is something that I'm very, very worried about. Our passion for football in Ghana has always been unwavering and have witnessed at first hand the love and excitement of communities display during gala matches and games and local tournaments. 2 years ago, the rivalry between the Accra House of Folk and Great Olympics drew overwhelming crowd. Yet, we find ourselves grappling with disheartening decline in attendance of recent features. I refuse to believe that Ghanaians have sadly lost interest in football. No, I don't believe that is it. The passion is still alive and vibrant. We must therefore delve deeper into the underlying factors responsible for the decline and take decisive action to revive our beloved league. Tonight, we are gathered not only to diagnose the problem, but also to seek sustainable solutions. I want to commend Joy Sports and Insurance Sports for their scientific effort in shedding light on this matter as we embark on this journey to revive the Ghana Premier League. Let us reflect on our roles and responsibilities in making positive impact. The National Sports Authority, entrusted with the care of our stadiums, I urge you to transform these venues into more than the mere arenas for watching games. Let us create family-friendly spaces where parents can bring their families and children to engage in sports that we all love, and also leisure activities. Safety must be a paramount, and the stadium experience should be perceived as an exciting place for everyone. Premier League clubs, in your pursuit of attracting fans, consider innovative marketing strategy that resonates with the young generation. Engaging the community and giving back through corporate social responsibility initiative can foster deeper connection with fans. To Ghana Football Association, the organizers of the league strive for fair and attractive competition that fans can be proud of. We must be conscious of global competition from the top league like the English Premier League and avoid features clashes, taking into consideration our account of our climate and work schedule. We should aim to match time that are convenient and enjoyable to our football fans. As a ministry, our responsibilities lies in the championing development of sports infrastructure and the implementation of policies. I am pleased to announce that we are nearing the completion of the University of Ghana Sports Stadium, which will also serve as another venue for the Ghana Premier League matches. Additionally, we will soon commission the 6 of our 10 multipurpose youth resource centers, which will provide excellent facility for our club to utilize. The government remains committed to the holistic development of sports in Ghana. Our unprecedented investment in infrastructure has been evidently clear for everyone to see. Let me use this platform to enumerate a few among others. Mr. Chairman, like I said earlier, 6 out of the 10 multipurpose youth resource centers are almost done with the phase 2. Work will soon begin on the phase 2 of the remaining 4. The government over the years have embarked on a series of renovations in our stadia. Accra Sports Stadium have gotten its share from phase 1, phase 2 to phase 3. Baba Yara Sports Stadium have also gotten its share. Phase 1 has been completed and phase 2 is currently ongoing. Cape Coast Sports Stadium has also gotten its share, and the Esipon have all benefited from government intervention in recent times. We have put reports in the media concerning the state of Esipon Stadium. I can assure all of you that we have resolved the procedural delay, and the contractor has soon be back on site working on the phase 2 of Esipon Sports Stadium. It is my wish that the teams within the region will make good use of the facilities once the renovation works is completed. The government is also building sports facilities at Botima and the University of Ghana to host and organize the 13th African Games come 2024. A FIFA standard Stadium at the University of Ghana is one of them, accompanied by several training pitches which will be utilized at the grassroots level after the game. I believe that time has come for us for a paradigm shift in Ghana football. We need to change the way we think about football, the way we manage our teams, and the way we The Global African Initiative indicated in a paper, Unstoppable Africa, a table charging sports in Africa. It is with assertion that it is time to recognize sports as a massive economic driver in Africa. We can all attest to the fact that football has taken the biggest share of the pie, and government is committed to collaborate, cooperate, and partner with all managers, enthusiasts, promoters, infrastructure developers to develop it to the fullest for the socio-economic development that will make more attractive and sustainable here in Ghana. The media has a key role to play in this quest. Let me take the opportunity to commend once again Joy Sports and Insura Sports for taking a leading role in making sure that we contribute to the development of the sports we all love. The opportunity for infusion of creativity, money, expertise is widely open, given to sports management ecosystem on the continent. It's primarily a government-run creating innovative public-private partnership in the football ecosystem, which will lead to a powerful, competitive, revenue-making industry. Let me take this opportunity to once again call on corporate Ghana to support the game we all love. In conclusion, I would like to seize the opportunity I would like to seize this moment of our reflection to redefine our approach, innovation of strategies, and reignite the flame of passion of the Ghana Premier League. With unwavering commitment, collaboration effort, I'm very confident that we'll overcome the challenges and usher in a new era of prosperity for Ghana Premier League and other domestic leagues. I'll wait patiently for the panels to discuss and bring new ideas, and we'll take note to ensure that as a key stakeholder in the development of the Premier League, we'll contribute our part in making sure that our various sporting facilities are filled to the maximum. Thank you so much for the attention.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we show bigger appreciation to the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports, also a state member of Parliament. A lot of food for thought to start off the conversations this evening, but just before we go into the major conversations, of course, we'll be starting off with the angle of marketing and making our clubs attractive ones. Before that, however, would like to give you a feel of how it is like on a regular day when you go to the stadium and two clubs are renewing rivalry and are ready to play the game. The way these fans make sure that they push the players to give 200% and more. Let me hand you over to the Die Hard Supporters Union for the next 3 minutes as they give us a feel of what it is like in the stands when everybody is present. Over to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, a quick reminder that we're live on Joy News and also on your superstation Joy 99.7 FM. If you just joined us, this is the live coverage of the mid-year thought leadership session put together by Joy Sports and Insura Sports. And it's called Fill GPL Centres. The challenge, the solutions, we present our findings. So just like it suggests tonight, we will present the findings of a long-running survey that we've used to reach the people who are supposed to be enjoying beautiful football week in, week out. Just before we go, I would like to acknowledge the presence of a few good friends who have joined us here. Now, we all do admire him for his bravado on the pitch. Many years down the line, after bringing us so much joy, he is adding to the technical side of things. Well, he served as a deputy coach of the under-17 national team, the Black Starlets, the male team, and he's also traced his roots to Accra, Hearts of Oak, and clubs in Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, one of our finest players not to have played at the FIFA World Cup, the one and only Laie Kingston. Ladies and gentlemen, seated not too far from him is another fine gentleman who has paid his dues. He's played at the Africa Cup of Nations. He's played at the FIFA World Cup. And most importantly, he was part of a squad of young men who went all the way to Egypt to ensure that Ghana set a record as the first nation on the African continent to win the Under-20 FIFA World Cup. Years on, he's also still going very, very strong. Ladies and gentlemen, Samuel Inkum. Well, for those who belong to the light blue and white side of things, well, you may have to clap for him still, because they say they are the original landlords of Accra and your big brothers. Well, the Phobians are in the house. I'll be introducing to you a senior citizen who will be here on the stage. But before that, I'd like to introduce to you a man who has served in various capacities, including CEO of the club. Currently, he serves on the board. The one and only Obama of the Phobian family, Mr. Vincent Soa Odote. And ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Vincent Soa Odote has served in Parliament and has also served us as a Deputy Minister for Communications. More of getting to know each other later on. But right now, I'd like to bring up here a colleague of mine who normally is on your television on Monday evenings at 9 p.m., bringing friends together to discuss the issues that affect our sport in general. Well, he is also very passionate just like you and I, and he is looking forward to having a wonderful conversation just like you and I. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of Sports Zone on the Joy Prime channel and First Take on Fridays on Joy 99.7 FM, Fentu Tahiru Fentu. Strong man.
Very good evening to all of you. And we truly appreciate your time for being here. Thank you so much, Mr. Sports Minister. That was a very good speech, basically highlighting what needs to be done. I've been covering the Ghana Premier League for a long time, and I grew up a fan of the Ghana Premier League. My first game was in 2001, I believe, and it was in Tamale, in the Caledon Park. Because where I grew up, there was not a Ghana Premier League team in Tumu. None was even close in Wa. And the first time I ever saw a Ghana Premier League game was when Hearts of Oak came to Tamale. And there were no seats for anybody to sit on. But the crowd that gathered around the stadium, that sandy pitch, I saw genuine love. I saw people that were ready to risk everything to see a Ghana Premier League game. And it contributed to me becoming a sports journalist today because I wanted to be a part of the journey. A few years down the line, of course, in 2016, when I became very active in this industry, there was a time when the Ghana Premier League was beginning to dwindle in terms of its, even the numbers, not just in terms of the supporters, but all the other supporting things that made the league what it really is. So as part of a group of journalists, together with the likes of Nuhu Adams, who deserves an honorable mention, or Felix Romark, we created a WhatsApp group. And the purpose of that WhatsApp group was to basically collate our own statistics on the league, including who made how many assists, and all those other accompanying numbers that always makes the competition what it is. And I say this because that was the beginning of the media's own involvement in trying to create a product that we are all very proud of. Last season was one of the worst seasons in terms of attendance to the Ghana Premier League. And like the minister rightly said, it is not possible that suddenly people have lost interest in the league. But some other reasons are why the people aren't going to the league centers to watch the games. And we are so glad our colleagues in Kumasi and Shira FM took the initiative. Instead of just shouting on radio, we wanted to understand why people aren't going to the Ghana Premier League centers. Because 2 years ago, like the minister also rightly said, fans broke the gates of the Accra Sports Stadium in order to access the Hearts of Oak versus Great Olympics game. And that was just 2 years ago. So what has changed in just 2 years? It's impossible to sit on radio and be able to come up with all the reasons why the people aren't going to the stadium just 24 months later. It makes no sense that Kumasi Asante Kotoko will play a game at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium and record 302 fans for a game between themselves and Karela United. Even when Hearts of Oak played against Great Olympics, the same game that nearly brought down the stadium only 24 months earlier, had less than 1,000 fans. Something is fundamentally wrong. And that's why this initiative, Field GPL Centres, has come. Trying to understand and gather the views of people, because the individual experiences of people are entirely different. Why Mr. Boateng is not going to the stadium might not be the same reason why Mr. Kwame isn't going. So we need to collate all of these opinions and all of these thoughts of people and ask them, how can we make the Ghana Premier League a product that you would want to go? How can we appeal to you? How can we appeal to your family, to your wife, to your children? How can we make it better? They gave their own opinions, and that's why today we're here to present to you. And I'm glad that we brought the team from Kumasi, from Inshira FM, who led this, and they deserve a lot of credit, and we've taken it up, and that's why we are here today. So ladies and gentlemen, we're very pleased to have all of you, and I'll be very pleased if you would just sit down, pay attention, and then ask yourself, does this speak to me? Because eventually, ultimately, what we want is a great Ghana Premier League. And as a media company, it's our job to contribute. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for coming. And thank you, Mr. Atto.
Fentuo Tahiru Fentuo could have made a very good bullish defender looking at his upper frame, but he decided to do sports journalism. Well, Fentuo, thank you so much for welcoming all of us officially. Shall we put our hands together for him one more time? Excellence has been shown over the years in various aspects of the management of our game. And I'm pleased to announce the presence of one person who surely has shown excellence in his area of operation when it comes to the big picture of our football. I'm talking about one of our most seasoned and respected referees, who is the referees manager of the Ghana Football Association. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for referee Alex Kote. And of course, at this time, we'd like to say a very big thank you to Honorable Mustafa Usif, who has other assignments as the presidency. We're very grateful to him for making the time to be here with us. Let's do a louder round of applause for the Honorable Minister. Thank you. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to pay my respects to a seasoned broadcaster of many years who is a lecturer in the communication studies space. He is the host of Sunday Night Live and leads some of these kinds of conversations within our sporting space. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the truth, Carl Tufo. So at this time, it gives me great pleasure to bring here to the microphone someone who has been on different edges of the coin, or on different sides of the coin. I'm talking about being a child fan, being a fan who could pay his own money to go to the stadium, and being one person who led a group of fans. He played a role as chairman of the National Chapters Committee of Accra Hearts of Oak. He has also played the role of PRO of the club, and he has also risen to CEO of the club as well. In times past, he served as a FIFA instructor marketing and is now playing various roles within our sporting space as a sports management professional. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, here to present to us the factors we need to consider as clubs to make our clubs attractive to the fans is the one and only Neil Armstrong Motagbe. And of course, I need to add that he is a fine product of Achimota School.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, my mentor, Dr. Nyao Tamaklo. If I go greeting right now, it's as if I greet only the House of Hope people, so I won't greet any more people. Doctor stands at a venerable level, and thanks for the opportunity. Multimedia Group, Inshera Sports. I think this is a very worthwhile conversation we are having today. I was told I have 10 minutes, so I will break protocol and just say all protocols observed. My duty is to speak to some of the factors that would ensure that our club football is attractive. These are conversations we've held on the various multimedia platforms and other media platforms over the years. And so sometimes I just wonder whether it's worth talking about these things, because we say the same things every year, and it doesn't seem like too much changes or we see the impact. There are times where we go to a high, there are times where we ebb. But essentially, as club people, and I'm a club person, I'm also a media person, so I have a sort of a 360-degree view of how these things work. I've also been a fan before and led the National Chapters Committee of the greatest club of this country, Accra Hearts of Oak. Those who dispute can dispute. But when you have the microphone, you can say a few of these things. Yeah, I agree them. Fabu, sure, I agree to you. So, as clubs, we have a responsibility. I think we have a major responsibility to ensure that our product is attractive. There have been debates as to who has the larger responsibility. Is it the clubs? Is it the Football Association? Is it the media? But I hold the view that out of all the proceeds that come from our football, it's the clubs that enjoy the greatest share. If you look at what happens at the stadia where statutory deductions are made, out of the 100% that is collected, all other stakeholders take approximately 45%. 55% rests with the clubs. And that is the basis for which I say, if you're basing it on gate proceeds or proceeds from football, it's the clubs that are the main beneficiaries. And so for me, it's the clubs that have the greater responsibility to ensure that our club football brand is attractive. The FA has this role to play. It's a regulator of the industry. The FA creates the enabling, I'm going to use a political term, it's something that I started here when I was a very little boy, the enabling environment. So that's the FA's place. Create the enabling environment. Let the rules work for everybody, all right, with equity. Let the owner of the brands within which the clubs play ensure that those brands are well endowed, they are well resourced. And once those brands are well resourced, the clubs must play their role. We live in a country where there have been times where the FA gets a broadcast partner, the broadcast partner goes to a league club or the home venue of a particular league club to telecast the match, live telecast, paid for. Sponsors have sponsored the league. And then you get to the venue, and the home club says, for whatever reason, we will not allow the broadcast partner to telecast the game. If that game is not telecast, it means the FA that entered the contractual relationship with the broadcast partner has infringed on the contract. If at the end of the season, that broadcast partner decides that this relationship is no longer worth having, who loses? Not the FA, the clubs. Why the clubs? We have the players. If those players don't have the footage, the material that will be used to market those players, who loses? Where do we sell our players? Many a time, football agents say we want video of a particular player. You should see the videos that go around. They can't market our players. Then we get a broadcast partner. He gets a venue. We refuse to allow that partner to telecast the match. I think there should be no reason. So the beginning is with us, the clubs. To make the brand attractive, it starts with the clubs. If the clubs cannot appreciate their value within the whole, and it's a term that has become very popular, the minister uses it, the ecosystem of our football, then who should appreciate that value? And the example I give is one that is dear to my heart, because you sit with people who are in the business of football, and many a time, the challenge of a lot of our players is we don't have the material to market them. If you have a convincing tongue, you will bring down a couple of foreign agents to come and have a look at your players. Because of the brand of football we play and the talent that has shone in many countries, we seem to have a default position in the minds of many international football people that Ghana is a football nation. But we've lamented, as a football nation, the last time we won the African Cup was in 1982. Can we still call ourselves a football nation? Yes, we are passionate about it. But passion is not enough. It's by being deliberate. We are talking about making the club football brand attractive. So I'm speaking to club football. I could speak of so many other things, but it's the clubs I'm speaking to. So those who speak about the other aspects will speak about it. If clubs will appreciate, the fact that it is the way we posture, the way we partner all the other stakeholders within our football industry, that will determine the success of us and make us attractive club football brands, we will go very far. Everything we as clubs must do to ensure that whatever contractual obligations the FA has entered into on behalf of us, the clubs who play in the brand, the leagues owned by the clubs, we will be able to get a headway. Our practices, you go on the radio, you listen to radio, and we have so many radio stations in Ghana. I've lost count now. But almost every morning, you hear a club person berating another club person, essentially throwing filth on the brand that we are supposed to make attractive. These are truths that when you share, make it look like you are bashing at yourself. But you see, the good book of the Christian says that you should take the speck out of your eye before you take the log out of somebody else's eyes. We are very quick to point at the faults of everyone else but ourselves. And so for me, to make the club football brand attractive, the first thing is the clubs must take an introspective look and look at how have we ourselves done things that affect our brands. The second thing is to have a consciousness that without a strong club football brand, marketing our clubs is zero. We can't market our clubs because we don't make ourselves attractive. There are times you go to the stadium, some of the practices, we are spiritual people, we have belief systems. But those belief systems have a place where they can be practiced. Beyond a certain level, corporate Ghana will not want to be associated with some of the practices. It's a fact. There are times where as club people, we orchestrate intimidatory tactics at our home venues. And then today social media is so alert, is so sharp. The least thing that happens is picked and it's all over the place. I'm talking again how we can make the club football brand attractive. So when we have gone and orchestrated some acts of intimidation and they boil over into violence and our venues are banned, who again loses? The person who orchestrated it. And yet we quickly blame somebody else. For me, it's about looking inside of us and ensuring that whatever we can do to ensure that the club football brand is attractive, we do it. So I've talked about introspective look. I've talked about intimidatory tactics. That don't work. I've talked about the whole paradigm we have of 3 points. So we want 3 points, and because of that, everything must stop. And the business of football must suffer because of what? 3 points. Because we are avoiding relegation, or we are chasing promotion, or we are chasing a league diadem. These are practical things that lead to the kinds of things that we see. The next thing I talk about is officiating, making the club football brand attractive. Officiating. I think the last Congress, the FA president, if my memory serves me right, spoke about a move to enhance the quality of refereeing. And for those of us who practice in the space, we know that there's a lot of work to be done. Our referees manager is here. But you can see efforts are being made. But while those efforts are being made, there may be some bad nuts still within the system. They need to be worked on and weeded out. And when it is that they perform in ways that clearly fall below the standard, the whip must be cracked quickly. Because we are going to a stadium or a game. When I was House of Folk managing director, there are times where some of the phone calls you receive, your mind will be boggled. All right? The gentleman will call you and say, this match, I'm the one refereeing your match. And I say, so what? Oh, I said, well, I just asked you a question. I've heard a lot of our media colleagues speak on platforms and say from week 25 to the end of the league, it's like the games are all over the place. You watch a football game and you wonder, is this football? I believe we came here to hear some hard truths and see how we can make our football better. And that's why I say the things I say. If this is going to work, it has to do with us. The last thing I'll talk about, 10 minutes, is political will. And I'm not talking about the politician's will. I'm talking about the will of us who work in the industry. Every stakeholder, the footballer, that's the player. The person who takes care of the footballer, the technical person, the management person, the fans. Do we have the will to fill our GPL centers? Then we'll just put our hands on heart and say where it is that we've gone wrong, we accept it and work to fix it. But you see, our society is such that even when you see the thing is wrong, you defend it. Let's listen to another radio station 3 days ago. They're talking about the concept of chuka. Somebody who chooks. You see a wrong being done, and then you say it, then you who are exposing the wrong become the bad person. If we are to fill our GPL centers, these are but a few of the things that we need to look at. And I'll end with a simple quotation once again from the good book of the Christians. If we are willing and able, we shall eat the good of the land. It's about being willing, because that's our ability. God has given it to us. The players are there. The minds are there. The brains are there. The energy is there. The passion is there. What is left, in my respectful view, is the will to do. And with that, I'd like to thank you for the few minutes that you've allowed me to share these few thoughts with you. I hope that out of this meeting will come some action points. Again, another sore point. We talk plenty, myself included. I don't take myself. We've talked a lot. What have we done? And what are we doing? It's my sincere prayer that this, for all the multimedia platforms, does not become another talk shop. The research that has been done will reflect certain things that need to be looked at. And we'll all hand on heart and hand in hand say we are ready and willing to fill our GPL centers, give our sponsors the experience that they thought they would have by supporting our various brands, and build this nation's football once again to the level where we are ranked among the top 20 at least in the world. That is my prayer. And multimedia, you started a campaign, you started maybe a move. Let's call it that. May this move not end with this evening's gathering. And if we take only 3 action steps from here that we'll execute to make our game better and to fill the GPL centers, I think this engagement would have been a very useful one. Thank you very much, and God bless us all.
Ladies and gentlemen, a bigger round of applause for Mr. Neil Armstrong Motagbe. Well, later on this evening, we will, pick valuable contributions from the floor. And I know most of you are boiling with loads and loads of ideas as to how we can make this work all over again. We're grateful for your presence here tonight. One of the most vibrant lady supporters who has been responsible for garnering support amongst women for our Premier League is here with us. She very much identifies with the Phobian family, and I'd like to acknowledge her presence. Madam Vicentia Deku, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We love you. Thank you so much. I want our friends from Kumasi Asante Kotoko to settle down properly so that we can welcome them properly. They came here in their original colors as well, so we'll do that in a little bit. But ladies and gentlemen, I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of the official broadcaster of the Ghana Premier League, who are represented here by their communications director. He is always on the ground with the players. He's always on the ground with the fans, and he has a massive idea about how all of this has gone so far. Ladies and gentlemen, Eli Kondo, and he wants to be identified as well as an old boy of Achimota School. Eli, thank you so much. We appreciate your presence here tonight. And so, ladies and gentlemen, they represent support in this country, and it is based on their exploits that the previous administrations of the Ghana Football Association thought it wise to send Black Stars game to the Babara Stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we put our hands together for our friends from the Greater Accra branch of the National Circles Council of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, led by Nana Kwame Dankwa. Shall we put our hands together for them? Well, they couldn't retain the league, last season. Let's see what they're able to come up with in the coming season. But ladies and gentlemen, well, I heard Mr. Vincent Suodote say something. I'll pretend I didn't hear it. I'm only a moderator here tonight. But distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this conversation, remember, is live on Joy 99.7 FM and on the Joy News channel. In a few moments, we'll be taking a listen to a full presentation on the specifics of what we found and how we can go forward. And as we said tonight, tonight's uniqueness is the fact that it is purely scientific. That is the way to go, and that is how we at Joy Sports and Insura Sports are deciding to take all of this. So ladies and gentlemen, just before we go for the presentation, it's my pleasure to bring here to the microphone a fine gentleman whom I grew up seeing as a big brother figure. Now, this gentleman also traces his roots to one of the two biggest clubs in the country. He is a seasoned communications professional and is a seasoned marketer as well. Operates within the banking space, and he is one of the people you can easily see at the stadium wearing a jersey of his favorite club together with his son and his wife. A typical example of somebody who is passionate about the game of football and is ready to do that Sunday ritual with the family. We need many of his kind. But has that practice stopped? If it has stopped, why did it stop? That's the reason why I'd like to bring up here the man who is also the president of the Institute of Public Relations and is also the president of the Ghana Table Tennis Federation. Well, a seasoned professional in the communications space as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he was my lecturer in school, and so I need to introduce him properly. Please put your hands together as we welcome up here Mr. Malku Afajinu.
I'm supposed to talk about, Carl, how are you? I'm supposed to talk about why I used to love going to the stadium. That was so easy. It was great fun. Massive, massive, massive fun. And it kind of defined our world. Literally. Carl, you remember those days when we had to go and look for a sports guide? And even when you've gone to the stadium to watch the match, you want to read every possible 4-page newspaper and what they said about the match. And I have a friend who just came back from the US. And anytime he sees me, he goes, he's a Kotoko fan, by the way, he goes, Tetevi, penalty expert. You remember that match? So Haas was playing Olympus, right? And I think it was about 2 minutes to time, right? And Tetevi was supposed to be our penalty expert. And we did a swap, which today we know is not done. But we did a swap, Tetevi came in, and we considered a goal. So we didn't even go to the penalties for his penalty saving exploits to be on show. Now, why I recount that story after 30-something years is that it started and it became a statement. And that was what club football meant to us. And sometimes from Monday all the way to Sunday, you are looking forward to the next match. It wasn't a match between football teams. It was a game between more than communities. And we lost all that. Indeed, I thought it was gone for forever. And I literally given up on our club football until I went to the stadium, I believe, some 4 years ago or 3 years ago. I'm not too sure the timeline. It was a Haskell match. In the days of old, anytime I got to the stadium, I knew every player. In fact, sometimes I even knew their girlfriends. I knew so much about them. But I got to the stadium, it was as if I was an alien there. And I had my boy by me, and he would tell me that this is this player. I'm like, okay, so how is he? So he plays well, but he has issues. Now, why am I bringing this again? We need to do a lot of work. The dynamics and the situations are very different. I keep telling people that the headwinds that football faces now did not exist when Herbert Mensah brought so much zest into football. But even then, beyond what Herbert added, the grounds were already fertile. Almost invariably, there was a rivalry, and rivalry is called to football. There was rivalry at the level of players. There was rivalry at the level of Accra, Kumasi, big one. There was rivalry at the level of officials. And it played out in the passion that was so strong. Also, the game symbolized so much. So much. The performance on the field could actually impact directly on the economy of a community. There was collective interest in ensuring that the game grew. And we appear to have lost that. But as I said, 4 years ago I went to the stadium. I was particularly impressed with what I saw. The unfortunate feedback I got was that was an exception and not the norm. The question is, how can we maintain that level of performance consistently if every mango that appears on the tree is plucked before it gets ripe? And it's a dilemma. I don't have a solution. I know that we can decide that we are picking up examples maybe from other leagues where you have teams that have decided that they are feeder clubs. And they work very well in that space. And they identify talent, they take the talent, they polish the talents, and they move the talent on. Is that a strategic option for us as a nation, for example? Can we say that, yes, because of the economic pressures, and touch wood, it's definitely on Accra of folk for a player to be paid 2,000 in today's Ghana. But I am told that those are the numbers, and sometimes possibly lower. And so if that was my boy, and he has a skill to go out, even for $2,000, I guess say again? You pay players 17,000. That is great. I mean, if that is the average, if we are averaging around those numbers, then we are dealing with proper economic numbers, which then means that there is the potential to retain talent at least up to a certain level. Having said that, should we determine that the sweet space, the place we are going to operate, is to gather talent, polish up the talent, and pass on the talent to create better economic opportunity, both for the players, for the club, and for the country, then so be it. But let's do it well. And let's remember that the headwinds, in terms of what we are competing against, is so much more difficult than it was some time ago. Because then, I could decide that I don't want to watch Tony Yeboah because the match at Accra Sports Stadium, and we used to go to Tema, we used to travel to Kumasi, I traveled to Tamale to watch a football match. Because that game and the experience was far more weightier than what I get watching the EPL. And so I make a rational decision that I'm going to do this. And to the point made earlier, we need to bring back the sizzle, and we also have to find a way of repositioning football as a family sport. We tried it, and you know the thing about Ghana, my country I love so much, is that all these points I'm raising have precedent, and we've done them before. Can't wait. We wanted to fill the stadiums. We managed to introduce a family leg into the game, and our stadiums were full. And we got ladies going to the stadium, and we got people going there in droves to watch football matches, which was a typically male game. But they were there. They took over. In fact, sometimes they are sitting by you and they are screaming, go, and you are thinking, what match are they watching? Is it the same game? Because the ball is nowhere near the center, but they are screaming, go. And they tend to be very unforgiving on the players. And I'm thinking, okay, take it easy. It doesn't work like that. But it was fun, and they kept coming, and they kept coming, and they kept coming. But somehow we lost it. Is it gone forever? My position is no. It's a lot of hard work. It's going to be very difficult. But a couple of home truths. Number one, it starts from the top. All of us into football, and those who've been around football in the past, need to recognize and appreciate the fact that the scent around football must be pleasant. Football has had an uneven share of controversies over the years, and that needs to go down. We need to quieten the noise. When there is too much noise, you know what happens to money. I don't speak French. In addition to that, we also need to tap deeply again into the communal sense around football. Because, see, growing up in Kokomemele, the matches at the Super 18 Park were fiercely competed. And if you saw back in the day, homo games between Teshi and Osu, it was as if the World Cup has been brought here. We need to bring that back because it cascades and builds into the passion that we have at the level of the clubs. The other difficulty, and I know now it's become a big money spinner, are all the spin-off clubs from the traditional ones, without the benefit of understanding the dynamics. I think that it's also been one of the beings of the big clubs. And to the extent that the big clubs do not shake themselves up and get back to the places of authority. See, 3 years ago, was it 3 years ago when Haas and Kotoko went head-to-head on the league? 3 years ago, right? Look at the knock-on effect he had on the whole league. So I tend to be a traditionalist in that space. Look, let's bring up the small clubs, but let's restore our traditional clubs to their places of glory. And if they rise higher, the football of this country is going to go up again. I really yearn for the day when I'll get up on Friday and I'm thinking, what match is at Accra Sports Stadium? Or what match is at the Kumasi Sports Stadium? And I'll leave my television. I wouldn't care about Manchester City or who they are playing. And my number one desire would be to see Accra House of Oak beat Olympics again. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I like the way you hit those drums because obviously your president is here. The president of the Die Hard Supporters Union, Abraham Nkansa, known in the football stands as Apirugu Chakapama. Where did he get that name from? Put your hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen. And Dr. Patrick Ofori, thank you so much. We're grateful for your presence here tonight. Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, this man has served on one of the sub-bodies of the Ghana Football Association related to organization of the Ghana Premier League. By day, we all know him for his role at the Ghana Free Zones Authority as head of corporate affairs. Ladies and gentlemen, marketing communications specialist of many years and a consultant as well, Mr. Jesse Ajipong. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the time where we get to listen to what has been put together. This fine gentleman heads the team at Insura Sports in our Kumasi operation under the Multimedia Group. A couple of months ago, he sat back and said, I want to do something that will make impact in our Ghana Premier League. At the Multimedia Group, it is an editorial policy within the sports operation to ensure that we grow local content and make sure that we make it attractive. Therefore, we devote a lot of time to promotion of the Ghana Premier League. It is within the stables of the Multimedia Group that you'd find content like the Ghana Premier League Primer, which is a look-ahead show to the Premier League season. We also have products like the Transfer Deadline Day, which is done specifically for the Ghana Premier League. On a regular day, you see all of these kinds of content being done for leagues outside of here in the places that we always follow. I'm talking about Europe. But we have made it a conscious effort and a policy that we will push, because when it grows, it ripples on us positively. Ladies and gentlemen, with a big round of applause, please help me welcome the head of Insura Sports, Bismarck Owusu Bempa, also known as Ayala. Strong man. All the best. Take it over. Yeah.
Very much. Good evening. We are very, very proud to share this moment with all of you. It's a very, very important moment in our lives as journalists and stakeholders of the game. And we are very, very pleased to have you to have this big discussion on our Premier League, local football. I believe there are a lot of things that we do in our lives as people, but football has brought us together as one family. And it's very, very important that our action speaks to protect what we love and the reason why we are all here. It started as a thought. I was following the progress of how deteriorating our spectatorship has been in the Premier League, and I consider it as something we need to have a better discussion on. And today we are here, and I'm very, very proud to stand here in front of all of you to present our findings so that we all have at least not just a mere talk, but something backed by scientific survey to speak as reference point to. And I believe from today, whenever we are speaking on attendances on our local football, we will have something to point to and say, we went for this summit and there were numbers that show that these are the factors that contributed to it. I do not stand here alone. I have the host of Insura Sports, Richard Smedonko, here with us, and he is with us in spirit also concerning our group. This research that we are going to go through was put together by the Insura Sports team and two very, very able men, Oreku Insia, who is a chartered accountant, and Ibrahim Dia, who is a data manager and data analyst with the KCCR. So these are the people who have made sure that today we have a scientific backing to the discussions that we are going to have today. Now, aside what we are going to watch and the people have mentioned, we've had a series of interviews on our show. And when I talk about this, I'm talking about Insura Sports, Enjoy Sports, interview CEOs, club administrators, stakeholders, and everybody who is concerned about this topic. So what we are going to show you is quite elaborate in terms of people we've consulted to look at the issues. Now, I like what Mr. Neil said, talking about the hard truth. I think that is a time where we get to look ourselves in the mirror and the factors that people are contributing to us as stakeholders that are very, very important in not making sure that they attend these matches again. So we are going to have a very, very brief insight as to what really are the problems and why people are not attending our games when it comes to our local football. Now, if you look at this page, it gives us an insight on the demographics of people who were responsive to our survey. And as you can see, we had a lot of people coming together to fill the forms. And it is very, very important to note that if you look at the distribution in terms of the educational background of people who were able to fill our forms, we had around 75% of them attending university or higher education, giving us insights as to why they are not going to the stadium again. So this is the distribution of the demographic of people who were able to fill the survey. Into the next page, please. And we at Insura, we are in Asante region, but we are proud to say that the people that fill the survey are scattered around Ghana. You could see the Asante region, the Central region, the Eastern region, the Greater Accra region, and the other regions too, all being part of this survey. So it's a national survey that we are presenting to you. We asked the respondents a very, very simple question: whether in the last year they've watched any type of football, and this was their answer. And we are speaking about people who would devote their time to fill any online questionnaire about football. So you could understand that from their background, they are football-oriented people. So if you ask them, have you watched any type of football in the last year? And you look at the answer yes and the answer no, it tells you the kind of apathy people are developing for our game, and it should be a sign of worry for all of us as stakeholders of the game. Now, to the next page, please. If you look at this page, we are talking about the level and the types of league that these respondents says they are watching. So for those who answered yes, a lot of them, as you can see, says they are watching the Ghana Premier League. People watch weekend games, being it community football, community gala, any form of football, Division 1, Division 2, course football, and the Division 3. Now, the next page will intrigue you in a bit because we asked them if they pay to watch these games that they say they watch. And significantly, majority of them says yes. What it means is that a typical football Ghanaian fan will want to pay and watch the games. It is not true, per this scientific survey, that people have the enthusiasm to watch football, but they want to watch it free. They know they have to invest in the football that they want to watch. And this survey proves very, very significantly that majority of Ghanaians who are football-oriented will go to these stadiums and want to pay to watch their clubs and their communities play or engage in any type of football match. Now, the next page talks about the level of the types of games that they watch and where they pay their monies to. Now, there is a comparison to the leagues and the level of games that they watch and how much they pay for them. And it's interesting to note that apart from the Ghana Premier League, the next well-paid type of football that people invest in is the Division 3 and not the Division 1 or the Division 2, aside the Ghana Premier League. And that is very, very intriguing when we were doing our research and we were going through it. That what is there with Division 3? That people are willing to pay to watch even Division 3 games than the Division 1 and the Division 2. Now, our conclusion on this is that it is basically because most of the Division 3 clubs are community-based clubs. And people watch it because of their attachment to their community. And people even watch those games as community service. Weekend, we don't go anywhere. We go to the nearest park and we want to watch our clubs from our local boys playing. And that is the simple reason why people watch more of Division 3 than any other product in terms of division football in Ghana, except the Ghana Premier League. Now, you go to the next stage, and this is the comparison that we've done. The supposed watch and paid watch games as to the number of people who are willing to pay to watch in terms of the divisions that they watch. Then this is the comparison of the graph that we have there. Now to the 8th one. Now, out of 591 people who filled the forms, we are not so pleased to announce that only 31 people said they watch games involving women. So anybody who is particular about women's football will be worried about the statistics, that out of the 591 people who fill the forms, only 31 says, look, I've watched football that involves women. The rest of them have not watched any kind of football that involves women. So if you are a member of the Women's FA Cup Committee or any women's football organization, then you need to be worried, making sure that the women's football also comes up as the men's football has done. Now to the next page, please. Now, how frequent do people watch football or GPL games? And this was what we were able to gather. Some say they watch it sometimes a year, others say sometimes in a month, every week, or every once in a while. Now, if you look at the graph, you could realize that every once in a while seems to be leading in terms of the number of respondents that we had. And it is very, very intriguing. Now, you watch the distribution in terms of the regional distribution of people that says we watch it once in a while. You get Central Region, Greater Accra, Ashanti, Eastern, and the others. Now, majority of the people in the Central Region says they watch football once in a while. And if you are within any of these regions, this graph demonstrates clearly how your people react as consumers of football in terms of how frequent they want to engage the game. And that is what we have in there. It is very, very interesting to note that at this point, we get to see that, look, the traditional football lover who want to watch a football game every weekend now is tilting towards watching it once in a while. And that is the reason why we are all here. How can we move back to having a football-oriented person in Ghana so much consume about the game and will want to watch it every weekend and make sure that we get maximum attention from the public interest that will transcend to other interesting activities like sponsorship coming on board and all of that. Now to page 10. Now we ask people, why don't you go to the stadium? Why? Why have you had a decline in enthusiasm, in your appetite for Ghana football? Now, interestingly, majority of our respondents says the quality of our football is going down. And you can see by the graph, the quality of the Ghana Premier League, the quality of the Division 1 League, the quality of our coast football, the quality of every level of our football, people say are the number one reason why they are not attending games. Infrastructure comes too. Because they will say, look, we go to the stadium, we leave our homes, we leave our offices, comfort zone, and we want to be welcomed by an infrastructure that is welcoming in its edifice. But we go to the stadiums and we don't really have an environment that is enabling for us to sit and we want to come back and sit and watch. So that is one for the NSA. The second factor is the infrastructure that welcomes football fans to the stadium. They say that is a very, very particular reason why they don't attend games anymore. Of course, the economic situation, how much you need to invest in transporting yourself from home, what you will eat, the price of the ticketing and all that comes third. Then the teams playing their strategies to attract the fans is a very, very, the fourth reason why people don't really go to the stadium. Now, this comes back to what Mr. Neil Armstrong was saying. The clubs themselves, as the major beneficiaries of the gate proceeds and the attraction to football, seems to be not doing so much in terms of their media strategies, in terms of their support engagement strategies to get their own fans to come and watch their games. And that is well documented in the reasons why people say they are not going to the stadium. Now, the services at the various stadiums have already enumerated that. The safety and the spectator behavior is among the reasons. The less time people do not have is also another reason. And the media, myself, has been criticized here. That is among the reasons why they are not watching. Now, look, if you go through the reasons, we decided to go through it by breaking it down specifically to the major stakeholders that contributes to any of these. So we went further, and that is the next page. Opinions about the regulator. Why are you not going to the stadium? You've told us. But what is the FA not doing specifically that is contributing to the reasons why you are not going? Now, interestingly, if you look at the questions that we asked the respondents and the answer that they give, all the orange graph is the rating of a poor response to what we asked them. The blue one is the average and the green is good. Now, at least from afar, from where you sit, if you look at the green ones, you could clearly see that people find little good about all that is supposed to be necessary for a typical football fan to go to the stadium when it comes to the FA. Now, the FA attention to the league, people say no. The attention of the FA is more on other stuff than the local football. So they rate the FA very poor in that. Now, the football management itself, the rating is there on the graph for everyone to see. You see a long orange graph that says it is very, very poor from the Ghana Football Association. Promotion, one extreme end of a poor showing from the Ghana Football Association in terms of their promotion of the Ghana Premier League. And the transparency and openness from the football people do not attract the public interest, as the last graph also implies. So from the football perspective, from the Ghana Football Association perspective, this is what the respondents are saying is accumulating to why they are not finding football attractive and they are not attending games. So if you are here and you work for the Ghana Football Association, these are messages for you in terms of the respondents. Now we go to the next page. And if you look at what club managers, as the custodians of our club that we support, in terms of what we expect them to do, this is disheartening. Now we ask our respondents, in terms of managing clubs, that will attract you, for you to say, oh, I have a CEO who have put together a very, very good strategy. He's running the club well and it's making me attracted to my club. That is the reason why I want to always go and watch. Now you watch the first box and club management trying to find a way to make sure that they attract their supporters. They say it's very, very poor. And so Mr. Vincent Odote is here. The chairman of GACA is here. You go, you tell your clubs, their CEOs, that look, your supporters says that the way you are managing the clubs is not attracting them enough to come and watch their football. The player quality. Now, if you watch the player quality, that is the second box at the upper terrace. You see that the average is on a higher note. Now, what people then are saying is that it's not as if that the players are poor, but it seems to be average. They seem to not cut it for them in terms of the standard that they expect to go and see at the various stadiums, and that is what the respondents has given as the standard of play. They say is poor in terms of the entertainment. I remember so well in a series of conversations on radio. One time we called Mr. Vincent Odote to interview him. When we put the question to him, why do you see a decline in spectatorship? His first answer was, football is entertainment and we are not promoting the entertainment part of football very well. That was his first answer to it. Now, it appears that the people agree with him in terms of the entertainment package at our various stadia. It is not there. And people say we don't find the stadium very, very attractive place to go because we are not entertained enough to go to the various stadium. Now, when it comes to the conduct of our club officials, the statements that we make, our public showings, our actions and inactions as leaders of these clubs, as leaders of supporters group, as leaders of various stakeholders, as leaders in the media industry, they are saying that our attitude generally as officials, as stakeholders, is not good enough to attract them to follow the game as we want them to follow. Now to the next page, please. Now, the issue of player exodus. I heard our chairman talk about it. You see, I would want to believe that this graph represents a very, very interesting perspective on what people think about player exodus. Now, it is equally even in terms of our respondents when we ask them whether player exodus contribute to why they are not going to the stadium. They are not saying yes, they are not saying no. What this simply means is that they know per our economic situation, they know per the standard of our league, the amount of money we pay our players. It will be very, very wicked, for a want of a better word, to stop a player from leaving, because they are leaving for higher salaries, they are leaving for higher greener pastures. Now, what this essentially means is that People are not so concerned about losing quality players from the league, but people are concerned about the replacement of these players. The production level of the player exodus is where the problem is. So if you bring in quality player, they expect the quality player to leave. Why don't we want to see our players play in the best leagues in Europe? We do. But when they leave, those we replace them with, are they quality enough? And that is where the issue is. So people do not have problem essentially with player exodus, but they do have problem with their replacement. So we can ask ourselves, when the Ishmael Ados, the Oseko Force, and the rest left our league, who have we replaced them with? And that is the problem. If you bring quality to replace quality, people will still appreciate those qualities and come and watch. And we understand as respondents the economic situation within our league, and we know that these players will always strive to move ahead. Even for us as journalists, we want to one day work at the BBC and the rest, but when we go, they expect multimedia to replace us with quality, and they will still listen to the radio. So that is what this issue about player exodus and the response is about. To the next page, please. Officiating. And I've seen referees manager nodding. If you look at the graph, it's simple. Much to do with average performance, much to do with poor perception about the way they officiate our games. And the graph speaks for itself. And so, as our referees manager is here, this is a message for him. People say they are not coming to the stadium because of poor officiating, and the rest is average. And the good is just a thin line, green there, so, it's okay. And so the message is very, very clear, and something must be done about officiating generally in the Ghana Premier League and the other local products of our football. Now to the next stage, please. We don't really have a lot of time, so we need to move. Now, I just saw Mr. Chairman Hesse of Accra House of Folk walk into the auditorium, and I'm happy that he came to meet the supporters' attitude. Nana Kwame Dankwa is already here. Now, you look at the 4 boxes in terms of the questions we ask on supporters, and it is very, very interesting that at every level, the score for poor is as high as anything. Now, the first one talks about supporters' organization, and the respondents say, look, yes, it's somehow average, but it is poor in nature. Sometimes, as football supporters, we tend to push a lot of blame to the CEOs, the board members. But what are we doing to organize ourselves? And it is very, very important. Apart from the survey, I remember through a series of media interactions with the CEO, the supporters union, and those who call in to give us insights on this topic. A lot of them say, look, I stay in an area, but there is no supporters organization that is as vibrant as will attract me to join them and follow them Sunday or Saturday to go and watch any of my favorite clubs play. So supporters organization is very, very key. And so those who are the leaders of the supporters must be very, very particular about organized support in going to the stadiums and filling the stadium as well. Supporters engagement. How do we engage our supporters? Do we just expect them to appear at the stadium on Sundays to watch our games just like that, without any strategy to engage them, why they must love their club, why they must participate in their club's activities? So they are saying it is very, very poor in the way we engage them as supporters. Supporters leadership. You have been rated very, very poorly here, and that is a clear message for Nana Kwame Dankwa and Chairman Hesse. Now, the last box talks about community and traditional attachment. Now, how well are we projecting our clubs to the traditional owners and the indigenes within the environs of those clubs? It's very, very important. And people say, look, yes, we may want to love the clubs, but in terms of the percentage and how significant they attach to the community, it is quite on the low, and you could see clearly the ratings for the community and traditional attachment of our club. So if you're a club owner here, if you work as a professional for any of the clubs as a CEO or member of the board or in any capacity, please find a way to have a strategy to make your club more attached to the community. And it is very, very important in bringing the attraction of supporters to the club and to attend games over there. Now, activities of the media, this comes straight to us. Multimedia is organizing this. and we have been indicted in our own report. And we are very, very proud to share it as we've shared the other ones. Now, you look at the first one, and we talk about commentaries around our football, and they say it's average. And that is very, very unacceptable. How can our own people tell us our radio commentaries on the Ghanaian football product is average? It means we are not doing enough. We are not finding times to speak well about these products. And we must be very, very mindful. We shape the ideas of supporters about our game and the products. And if they rate us that what we are doing in terms of our radio commentaries is average, it must be a worry to us. And for everyone watching us, it means we must do more. And we take it in a very, very good faith. Now, media promotions is also on the average side. Why are we not promoting it? Is it because probably Ghana Premier League rights has been sold to Star Times as TV rights? The radio rights is there for the taking. Is it because it's too cheap? We just go to the venues and run commentaries. We just go and do reporting about the product. We are not investing our monies into it, so we are not oriented to make sure that in terms of its promotion, we have equal right to also promote it. Because it will not happen in England that Sky Sports journalists will not want to promote it because they have invested £5 billion into the product. And it is behoves of you to promote it well so that it attracts advert for you to also make up your money. So I think it's a very, very interesting topic here. Probably we need to look at the packaging of the rights around our local football. Probably make it more expensive for us as media people. Then we will have the responsibility to protect it more, to promote it more, and to be positive about it. Now, the last thing is about the media projection, and it is equal to the rest of the first two that we've already mentioned. We do not project the local football enough, and that is coming from our respondents. It is not coming from us. It is coming from the people who listen to us. It is coming from people who responded to our research, and they are telling us, the media, that clearly we are not doing enough per this graph. Now to the next stage, please. To the next page, please. Now, where do people prefer to watch Ghana Premier League and other Ghana football products? Now, people say, oh, we've moved into the era of social media. We've moved into the era of television. But if you look at the respondents, yes, it is very, very comfortable to sit at the comfort of your homes anywhere you can get TV to watch. So we expected the respondents to say TV first. But aside that, you could clearly see the stadium is also an attractive option for people who want to watch Ghana Premier League. So it is very, very important that we have it at the back of our minds, that if we improve in our services to attract this public interest around our football, we are going to get the numbers to go to the stadium, because people have shown that it is the second option significantly of them trying to get access to Ghana Premier League and the other local products, as the graph shows, with the radio media, online, and others following. To the next page, please. Now, we talked about the NSA, and I was very, very pleased the sports minister mentioned it. Now, I will want to leave my home where I've cleaned to come to a facility to watch football, and the facility is accommodating enough. Now, Nat was introducing Mr. Maoku, and he says he comes with his son and wife. You will not want to take your family to a place that is not accommodating, not safe. And if you look at the response in terms of the infrastructure itself, the edifice, they say it is poor. Sanitation at our various stadia, poor. You talk about security, poor. If this is the response from people who are supposed to be attracted to a game, how do we expect them to come and watch? Because at the back of their minds, they are coming to a very, very security problem zone. They are coming to where it's not neat enough for them to sit, and not even invite their other family members to come. And the infrastructure itself is not accommodating enough. One of the things that you would love to go watch football away, I was part of those who watch the World Cup. I wanted to watch every game at the stadium because just the edifice itself was so attractive, was so welcoming. I remember the Educational City Stadium. When we were walking outside, it was quite hot. The moment we entered the stadium, we started feeling cold. The simple reason was that there were air conditioning all around the stadium. Who would not want to sit in such an environment and watch football? Which stadium did we watch on television or physically in Qatar that wasn't accommodating? So if you want people to leave the comfort of their homes, their offices, their cars, wherever they are, will have other options to consume football, to come and watch our football at the various centers, we need to make those centers accommodating enough, and that is the response that they are giving to us. Make the place neat, make it a very, very good in terms of security, and make sure the infrastructure is improved, and we will come and watch because the place is environmental friendly for us. Now, in every country that football has developed, there's a lot of government investment into it. So we were particular about asking questions about government investment and whether it has affected people's attitude to local football. And the answer is there. Largely poor. Largely poor. Largely poor. I am so sad the minister has left before we were able to project this so that he could send a message to government that they are not doing enough investment, and the people are saying it is part of the reason why they are growing apathy to our local football. So the message is very, very clear. We don't need a lot of explanations to this one in terms of government investment into our football and whether it is affecting attitude towards football from our football-oriented people. Now to the next stage, now people have been talking about e-ticketing as one of the major problems why people don't patronize football, especially for the government-owned infrastructures where the e-ticketing has been implemented. Now, do you see the graph as interesting as I say it? Because the obvious answer is whether e-ticketing is good for our local football. Majority say yes. They don't say no. They say it's good. It makes it very, very interesting an answer for me, because if you go out there, it seems the rhetoric is that, oh, e-ticketing has come and it is putting a hindrance into us accessing the stadium. We are used to going there and purchasing it with hard currency, and we just get our ticket and we go. But people say no. Majority of them significantly say the e-ticketing is good and it is very, very convenient for them to use in accessing our various stadiums. Now, yes, we must not look at the yes alone, but tackle the matter of the no, so that the next time we do a survey, we will be proud to say everyone who was responding say it was yes. So please, those who are involved in implementing this e-ticketing, the little loopholes in it should be sorted in terms of network issues, and the other stuff must improve so that the next time we run another survey in terms of getting response from people why they are not going to the stadium, they can say that now we are maximum support for the e-ticketing and it is a means for us to go to the stadium. So it is not true. From today, let this be your reference, but it is not true. The majority of the people think e-ticketing is the problem and the reason why they are not going to the stadium. In fact, per the respondents, they say it is a very good initiative by the government in terms of assessing the various stadia. So it's scientific and it is there for everyone to see. To the next slide, please. The economic factors. It is true. Though we are not here to do politics, but we all can fill our pockets. Now, you ask someone and says, oh, but I can go to a TV center, pay 5 cedis and watch my Chelsea, watch my Arsenal, and they probably get one Coca-Cola and I'm okay. And so my expenses will be 10 cedis and I watch 2 EPL games and I'm satisfied. If I'm supposed to board a car to the stadium, pay for the ticket, have fun, 2 kebabs, 1 drink, and come back again. In terms of the pocket, it's quite draining. It is understandable. But when we ask whether the economic situation in the country was a factor why people are not going to the stadium, yes, significantly, you could see the graph. People say no. No, it is not the reason why. If they make it attractive enough, no matter how expensive it is, if it is good a product, we will go and watch. Now, this gets me back to the conversation of comparing football to other things that people are ready to invest in, like a musical concert. Now, we are talking about the same facility stadium. If the Accra Sports Stadium On a day that we are playing the Manchester Derby, it's not filled to capacity, but Rapperholic and Stoneboy and the rest artists can fill that stadium to capacity. Then it is not an issue of economic situation. It's an issue of football attraction going down. And that is the response that they are giving us. Make it attractive, and no matter how expensive it is, we will come and consume it for you. So we have our answer if indeed the economic situation is what is extremely affecting the attendance, and the people say no, it is not, in terms of the significance of the graph that we have there. To the next stage, the next page, please. Now, I have said this on radio countless times, that if Ghana was supposed to be any sports serious country, what the Anas expose did would still have been a topic in Parliament, and we would have seen significant changes in the legislature of our football. Now, there are examples. You go to Sri Lanka, when there was this match-fixing scandal in cricket. Today, you commit any form of corruption in sports, and you can be sentenced 10 years in imprisonment. Now, assuming, and I always ask this, if Anas should come and do an expose again, and people are caught on camera doing the same things that they did in the video, we will have the same results as nobody being able to prosecute them in a court of law. What it means is that the bigger picture we would have put on the Anas expose and tackle issue of corruption, match fixing, and all these things, whether it's perception or whatever, we've not done anything about it. So the results will be the same if today, after what Anas did, it's being replicated by any other journalist. What we can do to those people will be the same. And that is very, very disheartening for a country that says they love sports. So if we love sports, we need to be deepened about the way we want to protect it. And the people are saying we've had poor legislature around our football, people who engage in other things that do not really contribute to the promotion and the development of our sports are not being punished enough. There are not enough rules. And I remember again, then Deputy Attorney General, today's Attorney General, Godfrey Dame, during the FIFA task force in the days of the normalization committee, explicitly said that he has found the Anas expose to be a very, very good thing. But the biggest loophole is that people who were cited in those videos cannot be prosecuted because the laws of this country, per our constitution, does not punish corruption outside public officials. And these football people are not public officials. So he will recommend that we have something we call a sports tribunal and probably an LI that will punish going forward people who engage in sports corruption. That has not been done. And people are saying, look, there's no adequate legislature in terms of protecting football as a brand, and that is communicating to us in terms of their attendance and how they react to football products in Ghana. To the next one, and I think that will be probably the last one. Now, we want to find solutions. We just don't want to be told the problems as to why people are not going to the stadium. Now, I will want all of us to pay particular attention to this. According to our respondents, they say these are the things that if we do, they will come back to the stadium. First one, they say we should improve on coaching and tactical quality. They go to the stadium, they don't watch quality football. They don't watch football that is being coached. People will want to watch Man City because of Pep. People will want to watch big clubs because of how they play. It's so beautiful to watch. And they are saying, look, improve on your coaching, improve on your tactical quality. When we come to the stadium and we are entertained by these footballers and the kind of football that they play, we will come to the stadium. The second one is about security. People will want to be secured, so they want us to improve on our security. Sanitation, media engagement by teams, transportation, supporters engagement, timing of our games, and we should all take it into our mind that, look, people are complaining about timing of our games. Monday 3 p.m., people can't leave their works to come and watch football. So if we could do more of the evening games, more of the games at a time where people will be more available, it will be very, very good for them. The supporters' behavior, no live broadcasts, the ticket prices, the community participation, and the removal of the e-ticketing. These are the general solutions that our people offered. I think the rest had to highlight the breakdown of these solutions, so we are not going to waste our time. The last thing that I will say is that we will make this report very, very comprehensive into a very, very well-written document and share it among our stakeholders. We will share the problems with you, we will share the solutions with you, and we will want to see it as a working document to improve on the fate of our football when it comes to the obstruction of the public interest. Football is centered around the supporters. People will want to come and invest if they see the public interest improving on our football. And everything about the game is about the supporters. So we should always, always strive to make sure that the product football is entertaining, is attractive, and it's very, very interesting to the people we want them to come and follow. If we get them back, every other thing is going to be in place. So we wanted to give you a scientific basis for this discussion, and we are proud to have said that we've put together this, and as a working document today, we can reference it in all our discussions about filling the Ghana Premier League centers. And this is our findings to you, and we will make it available when we have the final report with more analysis into the interpretation of this data to you. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Solid. You are the man. Solid. Ladies and gentlemen, a bigger appreciation. Well, we're entering the final phase of this conversation tonight, but I'd love to say thank you. Thank you to all of you for making the time to be with us today, after work. We'd also like to say a very big thank you to Labadi Beach Hotel for supporting us in this very big way to execute this. We're very, very grateful to you. We'd like to remind you that we're live on Joy News, on Joy 99.7 FM, and on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. There's a customized song that the Die Hard Supporters Union have put together for this particular campaign, and to also sensitize our friends to get them back and get their minds ready to watch our football and make it a beautiful product. Before that, however, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of two key persons here. And one of them is the national chair of the National Circles Council of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Mr. Damanya, thank you so much for being here with us. This is a very interesting scene. Now, you see him seated next and close to, and they're actually laughing right now, to the chairman of the National, the National Chapters Committee of Accra Hearts of Oak, Mr. Herman Hesse. Please put your hands together for him as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, more introductions of our friends within this big family in a few moments. But just before we invite our friends up here, and we also open up so that you can tell us what it is that is on your heart, let's quickly take a listen to this one, or these two, from the Die Hard Supporters Union.
Supporters, let's go to the GPL centers and fill there.